All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. I want to say double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his word in truth and sincerity, for ruling well. And salutations to our fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, I'm my brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And it's going to be a reply lesson and to the brother Kodar Shapat. His page is GMS Quadar Shapat number 9. His brother's he been putting up pages for a long time, man. And every time he put up a page, Esau strike it, try to take it down, man. So this brother, he's still going strong. So the Wadi Habashir was shy. So he had this video was posted up um today, and it's entitled "Cargo Slave Ships Never Existed and We Weren't Slaves, We're Immigrants." And this is a good video. Go ahead and check it out. I didn't get to check the whole video out. I listened to the beginning where these guys from one body in Christ, because they're not the body of Yahweh Shai. Okay, it used to be called one body in Yahweh Shai, but nonetheless, these guys, they refute everything about the Bible, including here it is. These guys call themselves teachers of the Bible, but they refute pretty much everything that's true about the Bible, which is all things are true about the Bible. They try to refute, or they try to negate Yahweh Shai's gifts, his work, his power that was given to him by Yahweh on high. These guys call themselves preachers of the truth, but they're not. These guys definitely ain't preaching the truth, man. And every time you turn around, their leader, which is the guy that you see in the middle, the old guy sitting in the middle, or the old looking guy in the middle, this guy he just say something more outlandish than the previous time, man. And this time, this guy he says that slavery never existed. You know, it says Deuteronomy 28:68 is not about slave ships, but about wicked nations going into spiritual bondage. You see that shit? Which is completely false, man. And that's why, hey, the scripture says the simple believeth every word, man. All right. You got to look up things. You got to be prudent, right? You can't just listen to stuff. Even the apostles teach us that you don't just, blindly listen to what's being said. Look it up yourself, man. Which a lot of jakes refuse to look anything up. And that's the problem, because if you fail to research and look things up, you're not going to know what's it based on. You're not going to know if it's based on a lie or the truth. This is Proverbs 14, chapter 14, verse 15 and 16. Matter of fact, I'll just get it right here. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15. All right. Well, actually, it's chapter 15, verse 14. This is Proverbs chapter, I had it right. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 15. I'm at chapter 14, verse 15. It says, "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going." All right. It says, "A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident," man. And that's what you see. Not this guy. These guys right here, they're confident in their foolish rhetoric. Okay. These guys are confident in their lack of true understanding. And then you're going to see that. You're going to see that in this lesson. All right. And I'm going to prove to you, because the scripture says what? Prove all things. Does it not? We don't just say things just to say things. You should not be in a mindset of just hearing what you hear and just believe it. Now, the spirit of faith that is on you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, when you hear the voice of the Lord through the mouth of the prophets, starting with the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone, the brothers on down, you you know, you're going to be guided in the right direction. Okay, but again, you can't be simple in this thing. Again, it says the simple believeth every word. In the NLT, it says only simpletons believe everything they're told. The prudent carefully consider their steps. That's right. It says, verse 16 in NLT, it says, a wise man fears and departs from evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident, man. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. A fool rageth and is self-confident, man. Let me see. A fool rageth and is self-confident. Is I'm sorry. Is reckless in confidence. Let me read that again. Uh, yeah, it's self-confident. And this is in New King JV. A wise man fears and departs evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident. In NLT it says the wise are cautious and avoid danger. Fools plunge ahead with reckless confidence, man. And that's what these guys do. These guys, they jump headlong in a reckless confidence, man. And then they spew this out. Now a lot of this stuff they come up with is shit that you hear today. I have a brother in the world, and this dude, he believes the same thing. He believes that he was indigenous to this place, that slave ships never happened, never existed, and a lot of that shit comes from these so-called artists or these people that you know adhere to. And I was looking up where did this shit even come from, and I found the article. Salakia. I found the article, and it had said that some rapper named B.O.B., who was a flat earther, you know, came up with this bright idea that the slave ships never existed because he never saw it. You know, you got a lot of our people in that mindset because you never seen something, you believe that it doesn't exist. And the slave ships is not something that you have to believe in through faith. It really happened. You know what I'm saying? Like Esau didn't engineer all these slave logs, these different databases and information just to spread that lie. Nah, man, this shit really happened. Okay, so without further ado, let me play this real quick. Man.
Let me get up my thing so I can get y'all out of y'all sleepiness.
Yeah,
Gotta get y'all.
he's putting you to sleep. This is one of those methods, hypnotists or people that practice hypnotizing people do, man. And they use that anchor and they had you going crazy, and then they put you to sleep, man. But no enchantment is going to work against Jacob.
Let me get up my thing so I can get y'all out of y'all sleepiness. Gotta get y'all out of y'all docile state, man. You know, a lot of times, first off, shalom, giving all praise to the Most High and the Son. A lot of times we get caught up like what Christianity did for us, just like what the Israelites are doing. They're caught up in sorcery, magic, tricks. That's all it is. You can add all of.
That's what you're doing. Hey, these guys denied the power in which Yahweh Shai had and has. These niggas did that shit. You see, I had said a couple videos ago, Esau is a master of projection. Well, these niggas have mastered it too. They try to put off a image onto others that really belong to themselves. Okay?
Them up together, they just gonna come out to be tricks. You trick somebody into believing something because we all thought we all came over here on slave ships, but they can't find one ship. Anybody know that? Did anybody know that? And don't get caught up in the CGI AI photos.
See, you see this shit? So just in case you try to go look it up on Google or any other platform, that's supposed to be some CGI AI shit, which you niggas just heard about AI. A nigga don't even know what CGI stand for. A nigga don't even know what AI stand for. These niggas are stupid. These niggas are dumb. And just like they refuted Yahweh Shai, they're trying to refute us going into captivity, man. Let's look at that word for refute. These niggas are fucking stupid, man. And you gotta say it like that, Jake. You some of the most simple motherfuckers on the planet Earth, man. It says refute, to prove a statement or theory to be wrong or false, to disprove. And that's all these guys do. They try to disprove the truth, but the scripture says you could do nothing against the truth but for the truth. So this guy is saying pictures like this, you know, slave ship photos, right? That this is all, according to him, all of this is this is all false according to him. These documents that they have from the British Library to even Wikipedia, which I don't know why people hate on Wikipedia, but the information is really good, to books, to depictions. All of this, according to this dude, was false. Slave ship sellers and their captured cargoes, 1730, 1807. I gotta get this book. Let me see something. I probably can find a PDF. You know what I'm saying? Right here. Yeah, I gotta get this book. It says slave ships, sailors and captives, and their captive cargoes from 1730 to 1807. And that's another thing too. A lot of the documentation comes from the later periods of slavery. You know, you don't really hear too much about the 1500s going into the 1600s and ultimately 1619, where the boat that started arriving to the Americas. All right, and it don't matter if they brought one slave or it don't matter if they brought 10 million. The fact of the matter is they captured the children of Israel. All right, and they put us in hard bondage. And the scriptures speak about this bondage before it ever happened. Okay, so again, according to this guy, all of this is fake, right? But you got historians, some well known and some not so well known, that have um, tangible or physical evidence of the slave ships, man. One said thing is this: there's a small museum in Philadelphia, and I haven't visited it, but I believe, Lord willing, I remember when we get the opportunity to go to Philadelphia, we're gonna go visit this museum. But I know I talked to the elders in Philadelphia, and them brothers, they went down and they actually visited, and they weren't allowed to film or record in there. But them brothers actually saw, you know, what I saw via video. They actually saw it in real life. All right. Now again, these guys are trying to refute empirical evidence. All right. Empirical evidence. What is empirical evidence? All right. Empirical evidence definition. All right. Empirical evidence is evidence for a proposition is evidence, i.e., what supports or counters this position, that is constituted by or accessible to sense of experience. Just looking for the definition. It says evidence is empirical if it is constituted by or accessible to sensory experiences. They various and competing theories about exact definitions and terms. So this evidence is sensory because once you watch it and once you see it, you feel it. All right. And again, this is not a made up history. But see, this is history that Esau wants to get past. If you watch the brother's video, he goes into that. You know, how certain particular books in Texas try to reimagine the slave experience. You have people like which he's a Boule member, this guy Ben Carson, who used to be the HUD director under Trump, right? He said that blacks came over here as immigrants, man, for workers, and you're gonna hear this fool say that. But if you came over here as immigrants back then, before the whole immigration to the Americas really kicked off, where they were bringing the lessers and other wealthy investors over to America in the 1900s, the early 1900s, right? Before that, you supposedly we were the first immigrants, man. And when we came over here, like the man from Coming to America said, we didn't come over here on a love boat, man. All right, you didn't come over here on a cruise ship. We came over here on the bottom of slave ships, man. And it was an arduous journey. All right. And inside of that journey, it was terrible. But all this is prophesied in the Bible.
I'm gonna let you go, okay? Yeah, sit right here real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Put you right there. Good. Come on, come on, come on. All right. Oh, by the way, this is George right here.
This is George, so you know. Now you're not afraid. This is George. He's been here for a while. If you want to talk to him, you can. He's not going to tell me what you see. All right? He wakes up at night. Yeah. No. Okay, now, this is how we have him. Can you put your feet up in this chair? Up here. Put the other one up. Now, you see how he is? We're going to put him on a slave ship like this. The bottom row. We have 4 abreast. We have 4 people sitting just like this. And 25 forward. That's 100 people in a space 37 inches high, 4.5 feet wide. Okay? The next deck, we're going to put the deck up here, do the same thing. 100, 100. That means on this side of the ship we got 300. On the other side we got 300. We got 600 people on the ship that only holds 450. In the bow of the ship we have women and small children. Yes, quickly.
What if they tall?
Stand up, I can't hear you.
What if they tall?
Say it again.
What if they're tall?
What if they're what?
Tall.
They're stuck in that place. Just being told. Okay? That's what it is. We're not concerned about it. We just getting you on the ship. Okay? Quickly.
That's right. That's right. They weren't concerned about whether you were tall or short or small. You were a product, man. It's like anything. We shipping it in and getting it out. That's how they move products. They don't care if it's fitted right. It wasn't about your comfortability. Okay? They didn't care if you had windows. They didn't care if you had air. They didn't care if you had enough to eat, elbow room. You know, Jake get on the airplane and that's like a fucking slave ship. You in coach, that shit's like a fucking slave ship. You all packing tight next to somebody, you know, for hours on end. Well, try weeks and months on end. And they didn't care if you died on it. Because their point was to get you from point A to point B and buy as much as you could. That's why, like he said, a ship that could fit 450 people on it fit over 600 people on it. Because they were trying to maximize profit. They didn't care about your comfortability, man. Okay, so for a nigga to say that, you know, all of this is trickery and BS, this man doesn't know history. And old men are not always wise, man. All right, let me keep playing a little bit of this.
You have to stand up now.
What were the ships made out of?
Wood. All wood, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Wooden sails.
Now, they have him like this. When they have him like this, they have him with his legs open. Okay, listen. They have him with his legs open. Like you sit on the gym floor, you have your legs open and have your hands, arms around your knees. And the next person, they sit. You sit. Don't be afraid. Move your legs. I'm not going to bite you. That's right. Put your feet down. Yeah, put your feet down. The next person will sit right here. The next person will sit right here because we have
children. This is not something that these children, very few of these children in this room will actually understand. You know, it's simple. They're simple-minded. You know, and that's how niggas is growing up. Because you think about the whole gay shit, and you think about the whole, you know, I don't want people in my personal space thing. Nigga, you just got personal space. Them Edomites, listen, what is this fruit, man? You see stuff like this is what he's explaining. You see how they got these Israelites packed underneath of the ship tightly? They got more space for the rum and for other things. And of course, all this is about balance because you just can't pack a boat and think it's going to float. It didn't work that way. So here it is on this particular voyage. They had people just crammed up in front of each other. And they weren't coming out every other hour, every 2 days. They were in there until they weren't. And then on other ships, you had Jake laying down. Now, don't get these are the women. These are the women stacked on top of each other on the bottom of a boat. That's why a lot of you Jakes don't like the water. All right? Stacked on each other like pallets, man. I'm just looking for some more. And you got to understand too that again, these slavers. They weren't thinking about putting you in a museum and for all this to be shown. But this stuff you can't hide. You can't hide the manifest. You can't hide the sketches and then the books that are written on here. Hundreds and hundreds of our people over time, millions, and some when slavery was legal, and as well as you also had a black market for slavery. So in reality, you can't count the bodies in reality, how many people really came over here. But it was definitely in the millions, tens of millions, man. All right? All right? Tens of millions of Israelites were carted away in chattel slavery. And even our people today, they diminish it by the things that they do. All right? Showing you why niggas, we had to go into captivity. Let me play this real quick.
We need the room. So we're pushing now. His head is this close to the back of the next man's head. That's how he's sitting, in tight. Now, with that in mind, we have 25 people forward. 4 abreast, we have 100 people down there. We're throwing water on you every hour, every 2 hours. We throw seawater on you to keep you cool, because down below deck is 110 to 120 degrees. Down here, he's shackled. Now this is shackled. This goes on his leg like that. And, you see this? This is how it's done. This goes on George's leg. This bar goes through, and this goes on his leg. Okay?
And you have the modern day shackles with the chains. You look at how when you go into the system, any brothers that ever been in the system, you know that they shackle your hands and feet, and you get shackled next to the next man, and you get marched around the courtroom or the prison house in these shits. Same thing.
Like this. It's like this. Lock down like that. You want George right quick, like that. Now, he's locked in with George. You guys can stand up if you want. Okay? He's locked in with you. Only way is you want George right quick. Once we put that lock on.
Yeah, so this person had to hide the camera. Because again, they don't let you film it in. They don't let you film it in.
We put this on, and it can't come off. It has a lock on it. It will not come off. Only way it comes off is we take it off. That means if the ship goes down, he's shackled down here.
And that happened many times. So I don't need to play no more of that. Let's go back to this video right
here. That class coming next. No slave ships. And don't get caught up in the CGI AI photos.
Change.
That class coming next. No slave ships. Nobody under those ships for 3 months, man. It's impossible.
That's right.
It's not impossible. It's impossible to a nigga. It's impossible for you to understand. How did you get over here? Did you come over here willingly? Migrated over here willingly? And to be treated like chattel slavery? Like chattel into slavery? No. No, not at all. Are you not still suffering the ramifications of said slavery? But see, this is the mindset. Jake don't want to take that and take heed to it, man. So they try to discount it. Because it's shameful spewing on Esau. That's why he hides it. But you Jakes, you just don't even look. This Isaiah. Man, I hate living amongst the heathens, bro. I really do, man. These people are fucking retarded, man. This is Isaiah 1 verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord Yahweh Basham Shai. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are going away backwards. And that's what Jake continuously going. They don't consider that they're the Israelites. They don't even consider the judgment of the Most High. That's why he said this in the following verse. Why should ye be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick. The whole heart is faint. Right, because Jake, no matter how many times they got their ass whipped, we just kept rebelling over and over again, man. You know, you didn't take the hint. It says, why do you continue to invite punishment? And our people do that by living in sin and iniquity. Y'all thought these words in Deuteronomy 28 and 68 and 28:15 on down in 68 You thought that was just some empty rhetoric and empty words the Lord was saying, and it was a threat? No, that was a promise. Just like the blessings were a promise, these curses were a promise unto our people. And it says, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, right, which is thy homeland. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? And you got people like Vocab Malone, you got people like these guys, and even Jakes that's not even in the truth, trying to refute what happened. And I think the dude name is the Wadi Halbashmash. I think it ain't Tony Roberts. Tony Roberts is a Tony Roberts is a I was thinking about something, brother Salakia. I was thinking about this guy. He was American. He was a historian, and he helped write this book called "The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews," which NOI pushes out. But this guy wrote it, and he went through a lot. He was a historian. Anyway, that's for another lesson for another time. But again, our people, they thought that this was a joke, and it wasn't. And because it didn't happen right away, it happened through on a dispensation of time. We had to go through many captivities, but the last captivity was being brought here to the Americas. I want to look up that word for ships, since this fool said that let's talk about nations. What he said? What he say right here? He said, it says, Deuteronomy 20:68 is not about slave ships, but about a wicked nation going into spiritual bondage. No, we were that wicked nation, and that was a physical bondage, man. All right, that was a physical bondage. The Hebrew word there for ships is I-na-yah, right, which is ship. A seaman, men of ships. So we were put on ships, nigga. You ain't had to take no ship to go to to uh to go to Egypt in the ancient world. I don't even gotta pull no big map up. Right here you can see. This is Israel right here, and this is Egypt. Homie, you can walk from Israel to Egypt in 11 days if you do 25 miles a day or 26 miles a day, something like that. You don't need no ships to go back here. But you do need ships to come to the Americas. All right? You do need ships to come to the Americas, Slovakia. Right here. This is a depiction of the transatlantic slave trade, and it's a timeline, right? You see this timeline right here, right? Slovakia. Nice, good timeline from the 1600s all the way to the late 1800s. It says a view of movements of 31,036 slave ships. And there's one woman, I was just watching this video on YouTube. She talked about there's only evidence of 12,000 slave ships that brought 12 million people over. And that's why they don't believe that we came over here in slave ships. What did we just magically appear in the Americas? No. And you see where they're coming from. Everybody, all these Israelites coming out of the western coast of Africa, from the southwest to the western coast of Africa and Madagascar, which they had a lot of Israelites in Madagascar in captivity. They found a boat called the what is it called? The something Jose. Sal Josie. They call it the Sal Josie or Sal Jose, right? And it had crashed off the coast of South Africa because it was coming around to go here. You know? Why weren't they pulling slaves from North Africa? All right, they were, and this is just a transatlantic slave trade. You got to know that the Portuguese slave trade was way preceded this slave trade way before this. So Israelites was coming from West Africa into Europe, even though you already had Israelites there, calling themselves the Moors, calling themselves Christians, were in the heads of noble families and all of that. It was a thing to get Israelites from West Africa and bring them into Spain. You got Seville, you got other portions of Europe in which Israelites were drug up there, but the real slavery, the real captivity started when the Portuguese started enslaving Jakes, and then these other nations got on it because this is free labor. So it says this is from. It starts to slow down in the 1800s. Countries start outlawing it. So they bringing more and more people to the Caribbean islands, bringing more and more Israelites to Brazil. That's why you got the second largest, supposedly the second largest concentration of Israelites brought in captivity. It's in Brazil. Actually, it's the number one largest, actually, not the second largest. Well, I'm sorry, it's the second largest so-called African population, which was these are Israelites. And then you got Jake coming from what? East Africa. You know, it's a lot of Jakes in Tanzania because remember they didn't just embark or start where these ships are taking off at. You had to go grab them, and you had to take them. Okay, and they kept it going. They kept it going. Look, as most of them start moving more and more into the Americas, because you go from the Caribbean to the Americas. That's why they used to have a term called a salt nigger. The salt niggers were the ones coming straight off of the coming straight out of the Caribbean islands, straight to the Americas from Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, right? They didn't like them, so they wanted more seasoned slaves, that were more docile, that were more equipped. Because they felt like the ones that came straight off the boat that they were too rebellious. Let me see if we can play this again. How do you play this again? Yeah, so from 1516, 1514 actually, you start to see it really start to pluck up, you know. The 1526, there you go. So that's when the first slaves came to the Americas, was 1526, right? And then it just started going. It just started going, man. All right. So, but this nigga said all this is CGI according to him, according to his Negro knowledge. According to his Negro knowledge, all this is fake. But that's a nigga for you, man.
It's impossible, man. And don't get caught up. Don't if CGI AI photos.
Teach.
That class coming next. No slave ships. Nobody under those ships for 3 months, man. It's impossible.
That's right.
It's impossible,
How's it
man.
impossible? People navigate the seas for months at hand, even today. You think how you think Columbus got over here? He took a train. How you think the conquistadors got to the Americas? They took a train. It took months. How long did it take? How long did it take America? Okay, this is a better one. How long was the journey to America? 80 days. 80 fucking days, bro. That's almost 3 months. So the Middle Passage itself lasted roughly 80 days on ships ranging from small schooners to massive purpose-built slave ships to massive purpose-built slave ships. Ships, ship crews packed humans together. They packed Israelites together on or below decks without space to sit up or move around, without ventilation or sufficient water. About 15% grew sick and died. And all of this stuff is documented. Esau documents all of this shit. And he's a good documenter. This man I will give it to him. He does it when he wants to. And they call it the triangular trade because you had enslaved Israelites brought over, enslaved Israelites and raw material, growing and cultivating raw material in the Americas, bringing it to North America and shipping from North America to England. Then you had manufactured goods coming from England to the Americas and to Africa to trade for the bodies, man. This is when England got on it, man. These people, and this is just the English slave trade. You ain't talk about the Dutch. You don't talk about the Spanish. All right, this is the English slave trade alone. What is this man talking about? Are you on crack? Are you you just on spiritual crack? These guys, they will deny anything. They deny the truth, man. All right. How did you get over here? Let me see. This is 2 Timothy 4:4. And they shall turn, matter of fact, let's start at 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. All right, that's right. And you see that going on today. These people don't want to adhere to sound doctrine. It says, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. Right? And that's what this guy is doing. He's turning Jake unto fables. This dude said that the miracles that Yahweh Shai did was magic. It wasn't real miracles. I want to know what magic can bring you back to life after you've been dead for 3 days, several days, 4 days, you know, or somebody pass away right in front of you, and everybody's mourning the person, and then Yahweh Shai walk into the room, and through the spirit and power of his father, and through the faith of them of the parents, bring the child back to life, or somebody that was crippled, that was broken from birth, blind from birth, able to see, able to walk. Come on, bro. Esau had that kind of power. You niggas would never have a hospital. He lived forever.
And don't get caught up. Don't if you not really open minded.
Yeah, and then that word for open mindedness really is confusion. You just accept anything. In this truth, you have to be narrow. You have to be closed minded. What does it mean to be closed minded? Right? You have to be. It says not willing or consider ideas and opinions that are new or different to your own. We're not going to be closed minded. We're going to look at every possible option. Yeah, but when you come to this truth, Salakia, when you come to this truth, you have to accept the truth and only this truth. And anything outside of this truth that tries to change your mindset, you can't be accepting of those things. All right? What does it mean to be open minded? Open minded. It says willing to consider new ideas, unprejudiced. Right? And new ideas, they come up all the time. This whole thing about us not coming to the Americas in slavery, that's a new idea. Did you know that during the early 1900s, when you had a big shift of Europeans coming over to the Americas, they didn't want so-called Negroes or even Africans coming over to the Americas, along with other races, but mainly Jake. They didn't want Jake coming over here that was in Africa coming to America trying to get a new life. All right, that's why it's even harder for Jake's Israelites from South, Central and South, and even America and even Africa to come over here in large numbers, man. And when you do, they make sure that you stay away from the Israelites that are currently here. All right.
You gonna believe what somebody else tell you. No research.
That's what that's what these guys are doing. Let me play that again. I'm sorry to cut you off.
And don't get caught up. Don't if you not really open minded. You gonna believe what somebody else tell you. No research, no history, no fact checking. That's how we roll. That's how we've been rolling all our lives.
Bring it out.
Did anybody ever question Christmas?
Bring it out. Bring it out.
As long as you're getting gifts, you good, ain't you? Who would want to question Christmas, man? Who want to question these doctrines? They gonna look at the title and their attitudes gonna go because they not truly spiritual.
Right.
To open up to think that no one has did no research, proven any facts, bring any documentation. Why they don't have?
When we bring the documentation, you niggas ain't gonna listen to it. I'm bringing it out right now. This is an open map. This is a map from a reputable website called slavevoyages.org. Not only do they have a time lapse of slavery coming from Europe, Africa, Brazil, South America, mainly Brazil, and North America and the Caribbean islands, all right, you also have documentation. These are Israelites who came in captivity on several boats, young aged men and women. I used to have another website where you could type in a name like Yah, and then you'll see all these Israelites with these Hebrew names in Africa. But you got Karasa, Kumasa, right? 14-year-old male, uh, voyage. The ship name he was on was Juanita. Embarkation port was in Quetta. I don't know where that at. Disembarkation was supposed to be in Freetown. His intended disembarkation port was Havana. You had a lot of Israelites, a lot of Judites, Levites, and Benjamites come to Cuba, and he settled. Captive Fate settled in Sierra Leone. All right, and this is a British vessel. This is a British vessel. You got other vessels. The ship names: the Juanita, the Virginie. Okay, and a lot of Jates came from Sierra Leone. One of my closest friends in the world when I was in the military was from Sierra Leone. All right, more of them coming from Freetown, Sierra Leone, Port Unspecified, the Virginia. They were all in the same ship. All these males, man. 31, Namrad, Monwar. What are you talking about? We ain't doing the research, and you can do the research yourself if you want. Okay, you should. All right, you should. You got the Eliza, you got the Esperanza, you had the good ship Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. This ain't made up. Ain't nobody making this up. Niggas don't go to websites like this. You know, you don't go check things out like this. It's another one. This is another website. I just typed in voyages and it gave me this one right here, a fly voyage, and then it gives you the captain's name of the vessel, Stewart. They don't give him too much information on this guy, but all right, he was on this ship. The vessel owner was Crucialot. I don't know who that is. All right, and they have more. Oh, there's more. Okay, this is from the same website, Visualize Data. All right, slave voyages, all data. What is this? 14. What's the 146,205 records, events, and maritime. Half of it, and then slave trade is the other half. The ethno-linguistic descriptors, Yoruba, Igbo. These are all Israelites. Congo, Israelites. Akan, Israelites. Fula, Mandinka, Kissi, Sherbo, and Ewe. And these are all Hebrew. A lot of these are Hebrew words, man. Then you got the information for the males, ages 4, even infants, man, all the way up to 60. All right? All these are the people. And then you got males. And you got females. You know? Status, enslaved persons, 100%. All right? Then you got embarkations, disembarkations. Okay? Voyages. Participant role, captured persons, 91,491. Vessel owners, 30,053. Captain vessels, 25,000, man. All right? You also have this search. You can search digital. There's a digital library on American slavery. I had typed voyages, but I didn't really get nothing from this website. Some of these websites, they're set up, but they're not. They're not that good, man. They're not that good, right? And you got this one right here. It's from CDS Library Brown.edu. A lot of these colleges have websites that are dedicated to this kind of stuff. All right. August 1764, Sally is fitted out. The month of August 1764 brought a flurry of activity as the Sally, this is the name of the ship, was outfitted for Africa. Local craftsmen clambered over the ship, preparing canvases and riggings, sealing the hull, and installing tackle including 7 swivel guns, guns that could swivel outboard to defend the Sally against other ships, because you had that happen. They were robbing ships out there. You know what I mean? And inboard, when enslaved Africans were exercised on a deck, so they had weapons pointed at Jake while you were on top of the deck, so-called exercising. Stores and provisions were laid on for the journey, including thousands of gallons of New England rum. And they traded our children, our daughters, for rum, and sons for rum. That's in the precepts. All of this is in the scriptures, man. What you think? It's a joke? You think we just making this stuff up? This man talking about research. He don't even research. He don't know the first thing about researching. All right? This is Joel chapter 3, verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Right? And that's right. You see that. They sold a girl for wine that they might drink. They sold a boy for a harlot. And they said they threw dice. They threw dice to decide which of my people would be their slaves. They traded boys to obtain prostitutes, and sold girls for enough wine to get drunk. There it is. There it is. I'm not making this up. They said what? They enslaved. They said how many gallons? Thousands of gallons of New England rum, which would be exchanged for enslaved Africans, man. And it's just one voyage. You know, you got places, right? The Sally voyage was a classic example of what historians call the triangle trade. Rum-laden ships departed from New England to West Africa, where they exchanged their cargo for enslaved Africans. These captives were then carried to the sugar colonies of the Caribbean and sold. The ships returned to Rhode Island with their holds loaded with sugar and molasses, which was distilled into rum, thus completing a triangle, man. You see? You can't make this stuff up. But a nigga won't look it up. You don't, and that's your damn problem. Because anything you say, and that's why you Jakes don't have, and another reason why the Lord's going to destroy Jake, because no matter how much, like it said in Isaiah, the Lord afflict you, you still going to do what you want to do. It says, why, in the KJV, it says, why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick. The whole heart is faint. In the NLT, it says, why do you continue to invite punishment? Must you rebel forever? Your head is injured and your heart is sick. And that's right, because our people continuously invite punishment. You would think after a terrible experience like the transatlantic slave trade, chattel slavery for hundreds of years, Jim Crow era. How long did the Jim Crow era last? Right? Right? You had the Jim Crow era. Jim Crow started in 1877 and was over in 1950, supposedly. Right? So you had that. Then you got the so-called civil rights era, the rebellious era, right? And then you got the shit that you got today. So you Jakes are just broken, and it don't matter. You don't regard that captivity. It's nothing to you, you know. And so much that you'll go to a slave exhibit and shake your funky asses with no respect and regards. Talking about you doing it for your ancestors.
Men, we got to get back to being around our children. We need to cover our children, teach them and guide them, and give them a good old-fashioned ass whipping. We need to get back to those days, because what's happening is a travesty. And this is the reason why I left America, because of, not just because of the systematic racism, injustices, and my 56 years of just dealing with the whole garbage, but watching the black people, my people, plummet. That is why it's hard for me to watch how far and deplorable we have come as a people. Put me a good chair because I'm in Africa and I see different mentalities. But watch this video and I'll be back.
Yeah, no respect and no regard, man. And that's why the Lord's gonna destroy 2/3 of you. You just gonna wax worse and worse, man. You know, if you want, if you were there today, you had to go through that. First of all, y'all were on them slave ships. We were in those different ports on them slave ships. You was looking nothing like this. You were filthy. You could smell a slave ship 5 miles out, man. Slave ships can be 5 miles away. Yeah, here it is. It says, it was said that you could smell a slave ship coming from 5 miles away. While the slaves were on deck, they had the best chance of escaping. But it was very, let's see. This is a PDF. But it's true. It was true. So says the middle passage. It says the middle passage was the name given to the port of the triangular trade that went between Africa and the Americas. It could take 40 days to get there, and sometimes even longer if there was bad weather. It says, how were the slaves stored? Loose packed, lying on their back, stored shoulder to shoulder, or tight packed, stored so close together that each slave had to lie on their side and face, and the person next to them, there was absolutely no room to move. It says, what would it be like on board? The slaves would find it very difficult to move around because they were chained together. Most slaves would suffer from seasickness. Once a day, they would be taken onto the deck to get some fresh air. They would be forced to dance with whips so that they would get some exercise. While slaves were up on deck, the sailors would go below deck to wash out the holds. And they wasn't using soap. They wasn't using no damn potpourri, none of that shit. It was filthy. They threw seawater on the floor and they called it cleaning. They ain't clean shit. The places where slaves were kept would be covered in sick and excrement. So you were throwing up and shitting on yourself. It was said that this is the punishment from the Lord, man. This is only Yahweh Shai could put us through something like this, and he's going to take us out of it. And it was well deserved. You don't like to hear it, but it was well deserved because of shit like this. Shit like this whorish mentality. You think it's nothing to be a slut and a skeezer. You think you niggas would deface anything. You deface the name of the Lord. And you'll go to an exhibit, to a place where your ancestors, which they are their ancestors, were brought, they were raped. You were raped. You were impregnated by these fucking devils. You caught diseases by these devils. You were turned into prostitutes. You were beaten. You were sold. Okay? You were mocked. But it's funny. But the Most High is not mocked, man. They're gonna pay for that. It says, let me keep on reading. It was said that you could smell a slave ship coming from 5 miles away. While the slaves were on deck, I'm sorry, let me read this again. It says, covered in sick and excrement, so vomit and poop and pee. It was said that you could smell a slave ship coming from 5 miles away. While the slaves were on deck, they had the best chance of escaping, but it was very difficult. Can you think why? Some slaves would commit suicide by throwing themselves overboard. Sometimes if the ship got caught up in bad weather, they could run out of food. If this happened, slaves were often thrown overboard so that they wouldn't have to be fed. And this is just from a small document that was created by the Western Hallis Education Center. But this is what we're talking about. All right, so that is nothing to dance about. It's nothing to celebrate. Your ancestors aren't looking at you like, oh man, she's shaking her funky ass, and that's dope. And these bitches know this shit was wrong. But this is how Jake get down. And these niggas shaking their funky ass. And that's why the Lord gonna kill you niggas. And that's why I'll end it off with this precept. I didn't mean this to go this long. Sometimes I'm long-winded, brothers. It's a lot here. Obadiah. What's it, Obadiah now? It's Amos 9 and 8. Amos 9 and 8. Amos 9 and 8. It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua are upon a sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least of the grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake, nor prevent us. Yeah, exactly, man. So the Lord, that's talking about the children of Israel first, but not all the Israelites, and then secondly America, because you Jakes, you think that the Lord is not going to judge you for any of this. The fact that we here in the Americas being oppressed by our enemies is evidence that the Lord is judging us. The fact that we are the lowest of all people, and our captivity is constantly mocked by the other nations as well as our own, shows us we're the Israelites, man. So I just wanted to bring this out. Again, check out the brother Kadar Shapat's page and check this video out too. And with that, I'll say shalom, on to the next.